I'm on the Science Daily website and I'm on the article First Pluto, Now This. Discovery of first binary calls solar system formation into question. It's from the University of Florida and the date on it is October 19th, 2016. Everything we know about the formation of solar systems might be wrong, says two astronomers. They've discovered the first binary. Two massive companions around one star in a close binary system, one so-called giant planet and one brown dwarf or, quote, failed star. The first, called Marvel's 7 Alpha, is 12 times the mass of Jupiter, while the second, Marvel's 7 Bravo, has 57 times the mass of Jupiter. So basically, the arrangement of it is this. You have the star, Marvel's Alpha and Bravo. Alpha is 12 times the mass of Jupiter. Bravo is 57 times the mass of Jupiter. And this is the binary system right here. And they call it a binary because this is the main system. And then this one has a brown dwarf or failed star in it. So this is a binary system as well. Of course, in stellar metamorphosis, all these are stars in different stages of evolution. This is a very old star. This is a very old star, and these are two young stars. So these two have lost the majority of their mass and have been wandering the galaxy for much longer than these two have. But basically, I like seeing stuff like this because I can examine the small words that they throw out there, but they have a lot of meaning to them. For instance, it's pretty obvious they say everything we know about the formation of solar systems might be wrong. Well, that's obvious. They don't know how stars evolve and they don't know how planets are formed. So to form a solar system, you kind of need both. Two massive companions around one star, that's a really good statement. Because they're companions, I like to see that they have changed the words around. It's host and companion, not parent star. The idea the Earth or the Sun is the Earth's parent is completely absurd. Earth and the Sun are completely mutually exclusive except for their orbits. The fact that you're using the word companion versus, parent and son or daughter is excellent because that's exactly what's happening. I like to see that they change that. One so-called giant planet, I like how they use the so-called there. It kind of leads credence to the idea that maybe we're not dealing with planets. They're all stars in different stages of evolution. Again, planet is, Greek for wandering star. They're all wandering stars. And then you have the mass problem again. According to the IAU, a brown dwarf is defined as anything between 13 and 60 Jupiter masses. Unfortunately, that is an arbitrary definition, and of course it was invented before they actually understood what happens to stars. One thing I don't like about this, though, is that they say Marvel's 7 Bravo is a failed star. No. Brown dwarfs are very highly evolved stars. That's it. It didn't fail anything. It didn't get an F on its exam repeatedly in college. It doesn't work like that. A brown dwarf is a very, very old star and it's lost a lot of its mass. I wrote a quick paper outlining the idea of there being young brown dwarfs being absurd. A brown dwarf 1 million years in age, that doesn't work at all. A brown dwarf is at least 260 plus million years old. So if you see any articles out there where they say it's a young brown dwarf which just recently formed in a nascent solar system, they have no idea what they're talking about. A brown dwarf is very, very old. It's lost a large majority of its mass, and it's accreting the new planets, quote, in its interior. That's how planets are formed. The star cools, collapses, ceases radiating, and a lot of that material that isn't lost starts forming the central regions of that star, forming something very, very, very similar to Earth. Now, on that note, I want people to also realize that language is very powerful. You can use one word in one place and it'll have a meaning here, but you can take it over to another study and it will have a completely different meaning. I'm in this earth science book here and I'm looking at the word accretion, because if you say accretion to an astrophysicist or an astronomer, they instantly think planet formation. So the rocks in outer space clump together, and that's accretion. But what they don't know is accretion happens in the interior of a star as it cools and dies. That's the proper way to do accretion, is inside a body, where there's a gravitational field, where there's pressure, where there's material to accrete. In the vacuum of outer space, there is no accretion. So they have that completely backwards. But anyways, in this geology book, accretion actually means the formation of structures. You see that word accretion in the center right there. The formation of structures based off of, you know, the wind or the waves, where it will form new structures like on the beach side. So here's a satellite photo of a jetty. I think that's a jetty. But you see on the what would it be, the left-hand side, the way it was when it first started. Where am I? Okay, where it first started, and then over many years, all that material built up. So that's what you do. This is looking from the top of it, from like an airplane or a satellite. That's what a lot of people do that live beachside, that want more land. What they do is they make a jetty, and then it breaks the waves, and all that material just builds and builds and builds, and boom, you have a larger beach, more real estate, and more room to build and whatnot. Or at least, you know, to have more real estate. But to notice that accretion, in the sense, if you say accretion to a geologist, it's the building up of layers of sediment over many years. It's a very time-consuming process. But accretion to an astrophysicist, it's something strange that happens in outer space that has no cause, really. How do you build up material in outer space when there's no atmosphere, when there's nothing to actually push the material together? So what we have here is accretion making sense inside of geology, and accretion being nonsense inside of astrophysics. But it's the same word, and it's essentially the same meaning. So look out for words like that, where they have real physical meaning in one place, but in another place they're just completely misused. They do that a lot in pseudoscience. And it's okay to call a lot of these elites and so-called experts pseudoscientists, because that's exactly what it is. It's pseudoscience. They're taking real scientific meaning of words and they're morphing them into some strange idea that has nothing to do with reality. They do the same thing with plasma recombination. All plasma recombination is you have a plasma, which is an ionized gas, and it recombines. It loses energy. It radiates away its energy by becoming neutral again. That's recombination. But inside of cosmology and other types of pseudoscience similar to cosmology, they have plasma recombination as being some strange event that happened right after the Big Bang, which doesn't even include actual, like, laboratory plasma. It's really strange how they do that. But anyways, I think I made this talk long enough. Look out for those words that have double meanings, that you think it's the same for this study, but it's actually something else. And I think it's great how they have the binary system found, because it's another nail in the coffin to the nebular hypothesis. Today is November 2nd, 2016. Later, y'all.